This is a video for OCR Pure Core Mathematics, Calculus 3, Integration using partial fractions, 3.4, Integrating where the denominator has a repeated linear factor. We saw in a previous video that it often helps to rewrite the integral of an algebraic fraction in partial fractions. We can then split the integral and it can be handled as two or more separate integrals. In the case of repeated factors, you may well end up with more than two integrals, and some of them may not turn out to be logs. Let's have a look at this example. It's an algebraic fraction, and we can just do a quick check that the numerator is a lower power than the denominator. We've seen this algebraic fraction before, and we actually have already split it into partial fractions. So I'm going to just copy through how the partial fractions turned out from last time. That turns out to be 1 over x minus 1 minus 1 over x plus 3 minus 3 over x plus 3 squared. Remembering that because of this repeated factor on the bottom here, we end up with 2 bits in the partial fractions. So integrating this then, there's my original algebraic fraction. Dx. Integrating this is actually just going to be the integral of these three fractions. So 1 over x minus 1 minus 1 over x plus 3 minus 3 over x plus 3 squared. And we treat these as effectively three separate integrals. So when I integrate 1 over x minus 1, I get the log of mod x minus 1 minus the log of mod x plus 3. And then this is really just an x plus 3 to the minus 2 type thing. So I'm going to get 1 over x plus 3. That's an x plus 3 to the minus 1. And I'm going to have a minus sign coming through. So I'm going to get plus 3 lots of 1 over x plus 3. And that's plus a constant. Now I can combine these logs. I've got the log of x minus 1 take away the log of x plus 3, so that's the same as a division. So that's the log of x minus 1 over x plus 3. And then I've got plus 3 over x plus 3 plus c. Okay, that's the working tidied up so you can read it a little bit more easily. There's my partial fractions from the previous video. Here it is as an integral, and there it is integrated through, and then combining the logs leads me to the final result. So there's the summary then. We first of all check that the denominator is a higher power than the numerator, and we actually looked in a previous video at what we do if it isn't. We then split the algebraic fraction into partial fractions. That allows us to split the integral and handle it as separate integrals. And just to note that for linear factors you will get logs and some algebraic fractions in the result. The logs can be combined into a single log, although as we've seen earlier, it's really only worth doing if the coefficients are relatively simple. The next video in this sequence is 3.5, integrating with a denominator that has a quadratic factor.